I made this comment, Corey, as the second half played out a little bit. It was really fundamentally this difference. They flinched and we didn't. They flinched and we didn't. You know, we we weren't happy with the way the first half ended, but we took the bull by the horns to start the second half, and we simply kept the pressure on them the rest of the game, to the point where they really didn't respond. They were whipped.
How concerned were you at halftime?
Well, I had some concern. I guess my biggest concern, are we going to? Well, let's talk about the conversation we have.
Sure.
Maybe you already have before I got on.
No, you can share however much you want to share.
Well, to those that aren't aware, my phone rings at halftime, and lo and behold, it's Corey calling. And I was a little bit behind in real time because I was backing plays up and taking notes and whatnot. And I said, Corey, I'm not done with the first half yet. There's still a couple of plays left. And you said, well, I don't know that you're going to like them because I think one of them was a touchdown, wasn't it? As I recall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Minnesota touchdown with what, 21 seconds? Here's another thing I didn't like about that, Don. I tweeted this out during that play that Iowa I felt was really outcoached on that drive on a number of levels. First of all, were some really good play calls, excellent execution, a couple of missed tackles. But how about running that clock all the way down to 24, 21 seconds? Iowa had 2 timeouts on the clock. It wasn't as bad as what we saw last night from, was it Syracuse? I don't know if you caught that, Syracuse and
I didn't.
Stanford. But, I just hate seeing that, when they had 2, 3, 4 minutes and they're running down the field and they're able to get the clock all the way down to 21 seconds and score. And then you look up and Iowa's got 2 timeouts. You'd like to use those at some point to conserve the clock, but you've heard me complain about clock management. Anyways, yes, I called you with about 21 seconds left in the half.
Right. Yeah, so a couple of things I've got here as the half ran down. They did a good job keeping us off balance. 3rd and 6 on the plus 30. Taylor runs for 17 yards. We expected pass, and they ran the ball for a big gainer. TD pass by Minnesota. I guarantee this is one thing that'll come up. Poor job on shedding blockers, and we got to wrap up. Number 4 missed. Harris missed on that play. Other missed tackles, I had Harris down. I've got Harris down for 3 misses. Shorty down for a miss. Castro down for a miss.
Look, real quick, let me just say this. It felt like early in this game, and you can talk about why this was, but it felt like Minnesota was taking advantage of a guy named Kyler Fisher a little bit, and then a couple of open field opportunities for Jamari Harris to make big plays in the backfield. He's where he needs to be, but like you said, missing a couple of tackles. He also made a really nice play in pass coverage in the end zone. And this is a difficult assignment. Daniel Jackson's a really good receiver, and Jamari didn't have him all night. It seemed to me like Iowa was pretty okay with basically playing him. I thought Jay Higgins, when he got an opportunity against Taylor in pass coverage, was really good. And that was good NFL tape for Jay Higgins.
Yes, it was. No doubt about it. The bottom line, though, here's another thing they did. It was obvious to me. I made a note here somewhere. They're picking their spots, but they're going after Lee, just like they would have gone after TJ if he was in there. It makes sense that you would. And they had modest success. There were times when Deshaun was too far off, easy pitch and catch in front of him, but at least the ball's not on top of him. And so, we gave up some yardage here and there and gave him another first down here and there. But at least Deshaun didn't allow the ball to get behind him. That was important. But I guarantee it's going to be emphasized tackling because we missed a few tackles.
Yeah, I agree. Zach, thank you for the super chat. Do appreciate that, sir. And Jack, thank you for the super chat. And Caleb, we trust, beat Ohio State. How about in Caleb Brown we trust? Wouldn't that be nice? Again, they get a big performance out of the other Caleb in a homecoming of sorts for Caleb Brown. His first game back in Buckeye Stadium since he transferred.
Yeah, that would be nice. I couldn't help but find myself thinking, based on last year's game, how appropriate would it have been if Wiggins could have busted a punt return? I was hoping for that because we all know every time he fills the ball with a little bit of running room, you get your hopes up a little bit that it might go the distance because he's more elusive than the average guy, no doubt about it.
One thing I had written down here regarding Weejan, which by the way, I'm going to start calling him Wet Jet. When he gets his first touchdown, he's now Caden Wet Jet Weejan, but he had a return early in that second quarter that was wiped out by a TJ Hall holding penalty.
Right.
And it seems like they've had several of those this season. And I don't even know that they've directly affected the play. I guess that the numbers would say more often than not, when you have penalties like that, illegal block in the back, holding on returns, they more often than not don't really affect the play so much. I didn't really feel like that one affected the play, and you can just kind of see the angst on Caden's face when the camera zoomed in on him because he's worked his tail off to have opportunities, and unfortunately they've had some penalties in some spots. That's something that needs to be worked out during the bye week with LeVar Woods' crew.
That reminds me too, Corey, the fade route versus Deshaun. They went for 28. Further review, the play stood, but I swear it seemed to me the ball was getting jostled a little bit. I thought they might reverse it.
But yet NBC came back. First of all, why are we going to commercial with a huge call like that? Stupid.
I don't know.
You're going to commercial with a huge call like that, so we don't really get it. And then they come back, and the rules expert, who I was critical of earlier, says, pretty obvious that he caught that. Yeah, I'm with you, Don. I don't think it was pretty obvious. And furthermore, I know we can have this debate about what is a catch, but how secure did he really have the ball? Because then a step or two out of bounds, the ball pops out without much contact. So I don't know. That back foot was on the ground for a while. He may have had it, but it was close.
Yeah. When you called me at halftime, Corey, I made the comment, and I wrote it down here too. We have not handled man coverage well. First off, extra rusher. I say man, mostly man free, but maybe some man mixed in. I'm not sure. But the bottom line, of course, the extra rusher gives them a better chance. Makes sense if you get X number of sacks rushing 4. If you bring a fifth player, might that boost your sack production a little bit, or at least generate more pressure for the quarterback. But anyway, we didn't handle man coverage well. Pressure is bothering us. We need man beaters. That's what I told you at halftime. And man beaters don't necessarily have to be home run plays, but they've got to be plays that are clearly designed to take advantage of man defense. And a prime example was the inside fade to Vanderzee. That was a good example. That was a good play. How about another good example? How about the first play of the second half? We're on the right hash. We fake left. We roll right into the boundary on naked. We hit the tight end coming across the formation. The guy manned up on the wing back over there that went under the formation. He had no chance to cover that. That's one reason it ended up being a 20-yard gain. So those are just a couple of examples. But here's the bottom line. If you really want to be good at it, you heard me tell the story about playing Miami. And we gave Miami some problems in the Orange Bowl. And they were a great defense. Not good, but great. And then a couple of years later, they came up here. First night game ever in Kenny. And all the man coverage went away. And after the game, they beat us in a low-scoring game. I asked a great defensive coordinator, what happened to all your man coverage? His response was, I may be dumb, but I'm not stupid. It caused us all kinds of problems 2 years ago. And he said, you got too many man beaters. That's a comment he made. And I've never forgotten that because as I've heard some of our players talk about it, if you want to play man against us, in the old days maybe, let's imagine it's some kind of pressure man situation. The mindset 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago is, well, let's see how we can avoid a bad play. We got way more aggressive with our thinking going forward, especially in the late 80s, early 90s. If you're going to play man against us, as we used to talk about it, if you're going to attack our juggler, we're going to attack your juggler back. And we're going to be better at it than you are. Our knife's going to be better than your knife. We're going to make you pay. And we did that. And guess what? All that man coverage went away. So my point is, in saying all that, somebody that is committed to man coverage, you better have a lot of man beaters, ways to take advantage of that man coverage.